We just wrapped up recording an episode about pin kits, and one of the segments, or at least my segment, was talking about DIY options or build your own pin kit. Most of us operate, out of a lab universal kit or have dedicated kits that we use quite often. But what if you don't want to spend that money with the manufacturer? It's overpriced to get one of their containers with a label on it, and because they don't sell and build a lot of them, so it's not like they're able to streamline costs and make it a little bit more efficient for us. And then what if you want bigger capabilities than what the manufacturer has? So years ago we started experimenting with building our own kits, and kind of what you see in front of you has been an evolution until we found the right one, trying to make our life easier in the shop as well as out in the field. Now, when your business model is primarily high security master key systems or just master key systems in general, you get well versed. At least you've got a lot of offerings. I mean, we've probably got 50, 60 kits just like this in front of us. Whatever's not on the bench is in a tool bench in the shop, but we're offering a lot of different formats, and so we don't have that much bench space, or we do, but we can't accommodate 50 or 60. So we've got to make these individual pin kits for the not as commonly used formats, classes, things like that. And so we started building them. And the first kind of incarnation we came up with were these kind of hard plastic. In this case, this is kind of a catch-all for a master key project. We've got not all, but a good bit of the A2 format pins that were required for this particular job. But this is a hard plastic case. It's got pretty decent storage, but it's not very nice when you're pulling your fingers up like this, a few hundred times or 100 times, or whatever it may take to do the job. And then on top of that, like I said, it's hard plastic. I've actually broken a few of these kits, and that's kind of why we got away with them. Even if you drop them, good chance that they're going to spill, but if they don't, they're likely to crack and break because it's just that hard plastic, not very forgiving. So after I dropped 2 of those, we started looking somewhere else and started playing around with tackle boxes, tray tackle boxes. Here's one. It's a Rustlin 10 depth, small diameter. You can see it's got 3 clamps on it to really hold it in place. And on top of that, this blue portion right here is kind of watertight. I mean, it's made to protect fishing lures and things like that. So it kind of locks everything into place. This was a good kit at first, and we kind of like this product, this platform, this design, but it doesn't lend itself very well to road life. And what I mean by that, these trays right here, they can kind of, well, you can't see it, but they can kind of work themselves up because they're resting against the bottom of the kit. So you get a little bit of play, especially right here with a 30 thousandths pin, master pin. Get a little bit of play in there, and then you can start getting interchange. Master pins migrating between each other, bottom pins, stuff like that. So we were onto something here. It's not that hard plastic. It's kind of forgiving. I could drop this, I'm sure. I'm sure it was made that way because, getting in and out of a boat, sometimes you're going to drop something. A little bit more durable. But instead of lures, we're talking pins as small as 30 thousandths. So probably not the best option, but was very good starting point, better than what we had with those hard plastic cases. And then, put this one back, I found these things. These are Plano edges, Plano edge tackle boxes. Same kind of deal, where you've got that watertight edge around it to really seal things into place. But unlike that first one, you can see the slots for the dividers were recessed. So it gave kind of a added layer of protection so that the pins could not migrate between slots. And we use these now almost exclusively. I've still got to transfer some of the other ones, but they're so seldom used that it's really not worth it to jump on it. We'll just do it as it presents itself. But these Plano edges are like the best DIY pin kit option I've ever seen. So we've got a lot of these. Now this is a particularly small one for a sergeant, but when you get into a big one, like Rustling DH class, for example, here's a big one. They do make varying sizes. I don't even think this is the biggest one they have. I think they've got one bigger, but even for a Rustling, Corbin Rustling, where you've got, you know, interchangeable core pins, master pins, top pins, bottom pins, stuff like that, this can accommodate pretty much everything you need. And then on top of that, look how many pins I've got in here. I mean, that's far more than any manufacturer's kit could ever be. I mean, there's probably 400 or 500 at least per chamber, per pin, per type. So you can't beat that. So it was kind of a learning game. Didn't want to spend the money to build or buy manufacturer's kit. And on top of that, they're very seldom dedicated to a class or a format or something like that. For example, Corbin Rustling's pin kit is about the size of a universal lab kit, except it's going to be a little bit longer because it's accommodating, what, 10, 13 classes, formats, systems, whatever they want to call it. So we could do something like that and then maybe only get 50 pins out of each pocket, chamber, whatever you want to call it. And then, you know, big enough job you're running through, you're gonna have to bring spare pins and all of that. Whereas I can load up 400 or 500 and be pretty damn set for quite a while. So we did that, and then, you know, kind of another tour. I've already done one of these, but in front of us is X4. Those trays are actually best. I mean, we've got more here, and we've got more here. These are all best. And then these are kind of like a craftsman, or not a craftsman, but for crafting and hobbying. I mean, these are just basic storage, basic slots, containers, something like that. This, in this case, it's Sergeant Schlegg. But, you know, if you want to save some money or you want to grow into your offerings, especially if you're a locksmith, don't be afraid to invest in kind of some out of the ordinary pin kits. Build your own. You can go to, you know, any sporting goods store or Amazon and find those edges, those Plano edge kits for, I don't know, 20 bucks, and then load them up with pins, whatever that may cost you. It's going to be far cheaper than buying a dedicated pin kit from the manufacturer. And on top of that, I think they're a hell of a lot better. Get more storage out of them, get creative with them. You're not relegated to ever how they design it. You can set your own dividers. You can set the spacing, what you want to put in there, what you don't want to put in there. You can get some added tool storage in there. So it's up to you, and, you know, just how we've done it and kind of how we learn. But before I close up here, I'll kind of show you. I mean, we are loaded to the hilt with these Plano edges. I mean, we love these things. There's one for Sergeant Degree. Here's some of the other ones, the original Planos that I haven't converted yet, but we'll get there. But just something to consider, especially if you're a locksmith, either out on the road or in the shop, and you want to build your own pin kit, save some money, and kind of do it better than the manufacturers. Well, build your own.